Well, welcome everybody to Nazareth Contemplative Prayer. And we're outside one of my favourite places in London, the Royal Albert Hall. All of you will recognise it. I want to begin with a prayer from Meister Eckhart. Give me this, O Lord. Show me the way. Reveal to me that I may share in your eternal life. True obedience makes no request. Sparks don't ask what flames them. Today, as we stand outside the Royal Albert Hall, I think of all those wonderful creative sparks of music that has inflamed my own heart. This is a very special place. I remember thinking that the proms was something for other people. And when I moved to London, I kind of didn't think of myself as someone who would go to the proms. But one day I was sitting in the park, in Kensington Park, and I heard that it was the first night of the proms. And I thought, well, I'm not doing anything. I'll see what these proms are like. And it just so happened that first prom just absolutely sort of blew me away. The first prom I ever saw was Mahler's Symphony No. 8 for 1,000 voices, and it really did have 1,000 voices singing. And I just turned up here, I stood in the queue, and for £5 I stood as a promenader in the pit, as it were, right in front of the orchestra. Now, I don't know any of you know, but when you stand up for music, if you look at a pop concert, people stand up in pop concerts, but there's something so special about standing up and listening to music. It's like the music on that evening was like a waterfall pouring through me from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. I can remember still to this day feeling absolutely washed in this absolute waterfall of beautiful music. And after that I was convinced. I was a confirmed promenader, and whenever I've got the chance, I've come along here, and you queue up along here, along this place, along this wall here. You can see it. There's my bag. And you wait on these steps to get in. And sometimes you even get a ticket for the queue, and you walk and wait, and then walk up those steps and in and stand there listening to the concerts. And all I can say is they are absolutely incredible. And I know that this year it's been really, really difficult, but many of them were live streamed and still on the BBC. But it really is one of those things in London that's absolutely wonderful to do. This Royal Albert Hall is the most amazing building, really. We don't often think about it, but it's one of the most treasured and distinctive buildings in London. It can seat over 5,000 people, and it was opened by Queen Victoria in 1871. Of course, it's named after her beloved Prince Albert, who had the Great Exhibition in 1851 and inspired the idea for this place of creativity. The dome was designed by a man called Roland Mason Ordish, and it was made from wrought iron. And apparently the framework for that dome was originally made in Manchester and then brought by horse and cart to London. So there you are. There's the Royal Albert Hall. When they opened it, everyone said the acoustics were absolutely terrible. There was such a terrible echo that all the pieces of music, they used to say, this is the only concert hall where composers can be assured that their music will be heard twice because of the terrible echo. But since then, I think in the 1960s, they put in these sort of flying saucers that look like giant sort of fiberglass mushrooms in the ceiling. So the acoustics are much, much better now. but it's just the sense of scale when you're in there and you've got some of the best, most wonderful orchestras in the world just playing for you. And you can literally, for £5, you can stand about 4 or 5 meters away from the most incredible orchestra and hear the most marvelous music. One of my highlights not only was the Mahler's Eighth for 1,000 voices, but also Daniel Barenboim when he comes here with the East-West Divan Orchestra made up of Palestinians and Israelis who play together, and they've played some fantastic things. I just love Daniel Barenboim and all the work that he's done to create such brilliant music using people from Palestine and Jewish Israelis. So it really is, if you've never been, it's a place to come. And I think it's still, well, I hope it is next year, still only £5. Well, we're going to begin our walk here, giving thanks for creativity, giving thanks for the joy of music and the creative arts. Over there, behind the Royal Albert Hall, of course, is the Royal College of Music, where you can hear lectures during the proms all about the evening prom that you're just about to listen to. And again, they are incredibly brilliant because they're free. Anyway, here we go. Let's begin our walk up these steps, which I have to say always fill me with excitement, because when I'm here, it makes me remember when you're queuing up, waiting to come into this incredible concert hall for £5 for one of the most incredible experiences of your life. And of course, the promenaders have become famous. They always give these shouts from the pit at the bottom of the stage. Promenaders to audience, we have collected £5,000 for musical charities. Anyway, that's there's loads of traditions of being a promenader. I'm not really a seasoned promenader, but I do love coming here. And that's the gate, these are the doors where you enter in. But, I wanted to tell you just a bit before I walk past him. This was also the place where the Central School of Speech and Drama began. The Central School of Speech and Drama is rather special to me because my mother studied there, and she studied there at the same time as Judi Dench. In fact, she still writes to Judi Dench, and they talk about being grandmothers. So here is a brief history of the Royal Albert Hall for those who are interested. In 1837, Queen Victoria became Queen. In 1840, Queen Victoria married Prince Albert. In 1851, there was the Great Exhibition in Crystal Palace in Hyde Park that was organised by Prince Albert, or at least he was the patron. And then, of course, in 1861, there was that tragic death of Prince Albert, who died only aged 42 from typhoid fever. And then the 1867, the laying of the foundation stone for this Royal Albert Hall, and then 1871 opened. And there you are, 1906, the Central School of Speech and Drama founded in the hall's Elgar Room. The Central School of Speech and Drama, famous for some incredible actors and actresses, including Judi Dench, Harold Pinter went there, Laurence Olivier, Vanessa Redgrave. Really wonderful. And they used to have a wonderful speech teacher called Cicely Berry, who actually taught my mother. My mother became a speech and drama teacher. In 1917, an unexpected 3-inch shell struck the cornice of the main wall. In 1939 to 45, the hall was closed for almost a year due to World War II and then reopened. And then in 1969, those fiberglass acoustic diffusers were installed in the roof, making the acoustics so much better. In 1996 celebrates its 125th anniversary, and in 1997 the largest single woven carpet in the world was laid in the Circle Corridor. Well, there you are, there you have it. Oh, and there was in 2004 the opening of this South Porch by Her Majesty the Queen. There you are, there's the South Porch. Now, all these things in this time of COVID just become more important, don't they? We can celebrate the wonderful cultural things of our country, because we really are incredibly lucky. This is the largest cultural music festival in the world, the Proms, and you can listen to it for £5 or watch it on the BBC, but I really encourage you to come and listen to it for yourself. Now, let's go for a walk, and as we go for a walk, let's give thanks for music. I wonder what the music is that has inspired your life. I wonder what the first LP you ever bought was. Yeah, LP. Not many people buy LPs these days. Mine was Electric Warrior by T-Rex. Can you believe it? I remember watching him at the Empire Pool Wembley with my brother. Again, standing up. When you stand up and listen to music, it's like you can hear the music with your whole body. My eldest brother gave the immortal comments, "Richard, you stay here. I'm just going down the front for a freak." Those are the days when you used to go to the concerts for a freak. There you are. Now I go to the Proms. Walking round the side of this building, you can see in front of you now the Albert Memorial. Of course, Queen Victoria had this incredible love for Albert. It was a love match. I think the people of England at that time, or the United Kingdom, were a bit sceptical of Albert at first. He was considered a poor man. Why had Victoria turned down so many suitors and fallen in love with Albert? But she said that her wedding night with Albert, he was the sweetest, dearest man that she had ever met. She thought he was a beautiful man. Apparently there was a real power struggle between them, like in all good marriages. Not all sweet and light and peace and light. Apparently they used to have terrible arguments, and Albert said that he was terrified of her temper at times. But they wanted to be the most ideal family, and yet both of them found apparently parenthood quite difficult, like many. Not always easy, and I think Victoria found it quite difficult to always be bearing children. But this incredible relationship, and when he died, she was absolutely grief-stricken. She went into a deep depression, as many of you will have read and seen in the films. 40 years after he died, she was still wearing black. The widow of Windsor, and wanting to remember him and honour his name so that he would never be forgotten. And there we have that Albert Memorial, and I'm going to cross the road here, being careful not to get run over, and take you to see this wonderful ornate monument. We're into Kensington Gardens now. And walking up the steps, and apparently the statues on each of the corners of the monument celebrate Asia and Europe and Africa and America. And the relief all around the base is a celebration of musicians and poets and artists and sculptors. There you can see them all. Oh, and architects. I suppose it's a celebration of love, a very ornate celebration of love and creativity. And up at the top we have angels in celebration of the virtues. But now we're going to leave the Albert Memorial behind, turn round to see the Royal Albert Hall in all its glory. It's looking a bit of a grey day again, but what a building and what a celebration of the music of all the world. And many, many different artists have performed there, including modern artists as well. And now we're walking into Kensington Gardens. Now it's only been a week since I was out in the parks, and the colours have changed again, so the colours are even more special today than they were last week. These beautiful oranges and golds and yellows and ambers and reds, and I want to take you with me on a walk. There we are. There's the Royal Albert Hall and the Albert Memorial, celebrating music, but also the democracy of music. What do I mean by the democracy of music? Well, of course, the proms were an attempt to make music open to everybody, so that it wasn't just the sort of the thing for the rich or the people who were privileged, but actually everybody could enjoy great classical music, and that was always the aim when they began the proms. It was, of course, the great Sir Henry Wood who built up the repertoire of the Royal Albert Hall. And if you go to the proms, you can still see a bust of Henry Wood under the great organ, which is one of those proms traditions. And of course, then after Henry Wood, the great Malcolm Sargent, who became the conductor in residence for many, many years after the Second World War, and again had this great desire to open up music for everyone and to train orchestras, young orchestras. Anyway, now we are truly entering into Kensington Gardens, which are looking absolutely so full of colour it's not true. It's really peaceful here this morning, and I'm just walking gently through the autumnal trees, hearing my footsteps on a sand path at the moment, covered with leaves. I came here last night just to prep this walk, and it was the most amazing sunset through here. I'll put a photo on the Facebook page of the sunset over the Royal Albert Hall, but it really was very beautiful. But as I came through here, although I wanted to talk about the joy and the beauty of music, and for you to think about music that's inspired your life and become the theme tunes of your own life, I wonder if there are any pieces of music that have become the theme tunes of your life. I've been playing all the way through this lockdown this piece of music called by Max Richter, called On the Beauty of Daylight, which is on the meaning of daylight, which is absolutely beautiful. I've been playing it to myself as I've been walking, but I wonder what the musical theme tunes of your life are. Music that have accompanied you at important periods of your life. Again, it's something we often take for granted, but the sense of sound is such a wonderful one, and something we don't just hear with our ears, but as I've been talking about, hear with our whole bodies. Our whole bodies can become receptive to the sounds around us. You can hear my feet scuffing through the crisp autumnal leaves at the moment. And coming out onto this pathway of Norwegian maples and small leaf lime trees, and I was just sort of staggered by the colour. Look at the colour. You know, maybe the theatres sadly have been closed for a while, and we long for them to be opened, but look at that. God's theatre never ever ends, does it? Look at that theatre of beauty. Look at that pathway, that autumnal pathway of absolute stunning autumn colour. And remember Jesus' words to each one of us. Peace is my gift to you. Peace is my gift to you. I wonder if in the midst of all the anxiety, of all the tension and the unknowing and the uncertainty and the worrying about Christmas, I wonder if we can still catch sight of the wonder and the mystery of God all around us. The theatre of creation that never ever ceases. I mean, a few weeks ago this was completely different. But nature has an inner clock. And for me, one of the most special things about getting older is trying to rediscover that inner clock. To try and rediscover that deeper rhythm of life. The rhythm of the natural world. The rising of the sun. The clouds, the sky, the rain, the wind, the trees, the birds, the leaves, and the wonder of other human beings. I was reading about Queen Victoria and the way that friendship became so important to her after the death of Albert, and the way people were often critical of her friendships. Like some of you may have seen the film Abdul, about Abdul Karim, the young 24-year-old Indian who she was so affectionate towards and sort of opened up her heart to a whole new culture of India. I wonder in this time what friendships have become special and important to you. Looking back towards the Royal Albert Hall there and the Albert Memorial in front with that incredible flaming tree in front of it. But I have to say, this avenue of trees in all their autumnal colour is kind of holding me at the moment. Yesterday when I came here I was trying to work out a walk through these trees where we could get the full effect of the manifold colours of autumn. I hope they're coming across to you. They really are quite stunning, even on a rather cold grey morning. Glory be to God for dappled things. I think Gerald Manley Hopkins wrote that poem celebrating the spring, but you certainly see the dappled colours in autumn too. I wonder if we can breathe in the autumn, breathe in the wonder of creation, hold that wonder inside us. Look at this wonderful home for the bugs. Huge trunk of a tree. And perhaps I'm just going to sit here for a while, surrounded by all this colour, breathing in the autumn, holding the wonder of autumn within me, breathing out this sense of wonder into the world. I hope you can Be with me, breathing in the peace of God's creation, holding that peace within you, breathing out and sharing that peace with the world. Breathing in the beauty of our world. Holding that beauty within us. Breathing out our thanksgiving. Give me, O Lord, a grateful heart, not grateful when it pleases me, but whose pulse shall be thy praise, as George Herbert said. Wherever I go in these parks with you, I always seem to be met by squirrels, and the squirrels are also out this morning. I don't know whether you can see that little fellow hopping towards me. I've talked about the beauty of leaves, but there's also something very special about tree trunks and the bark of trees as well. And to me, that Albert Memorial, which looks a bit ornate when you're close up, and the Royal Albert Hall, that wonderful dome, looks even better from a distance through those trees, a bit like a Constable painting. So what are we going to give thanks for today? Well, I've mentioned several things today. I've mentioned the joy of music and the way music has become accessible to all of us. I've talked about the brilliance of those occasions when we listen to music and music becomes the theme of our lives. I've talked about the wonderful creativity of this city, the Royal Academy of Music, and praying for all young musicians. One of my nephews is a young musician and just waiting to begin studies, having a year off before he begins. The Central School of Speech and Drama, and creativity of drama and playwrights and actors, how they challenge us and expand our minds. I've talked about Queen Victoria and her love for Albert and her grief, but also her longing for new friendships that could help her through those 40 years. When Albert died, she wrote that she hoped that she too would die early, young, but it wasn't to be. Instead, she lived to be one of the oldest reigning monarchs and formed these incredible friendships with unusual people like John Brown and Abdul Karim. But she never forgot Albert. Apparently, I read she used to go to bed with his dressing gown so that she could feel that he was still near her. And she always used to ask them to bring up a bowl of hot water so that she could remember how he used to shave every morning. It's funny, isn't it, the way when we grieve for people, those small things become important. Today we've also talked about the wonder of these autumnal colours, the inner clock of nature, the rhythm of nature all around us. And this call during this time of COVID to rediscover the things, the values that really, really matter. I'm going to read you a meditation from Meister Eckhart. It's from the Book of the Heart, Meditations for the Restless Soul. The gravity of love. You are the one who falls so that you can find me in the deep and the down, in the downward tumble of life, like a stone that descends to where it comes to rest. And just so, there, where I fall, is where you wait and where you call. Oh, fall with me all the long way down, and so reach me through the call that rises impossibly, reaches me in the upward gravity of love. Falling upwards, the upward gravity of love. That's the gift of Christ to us, the upward gravity of love. The love that meets us in the lowest place and lifts us into resurrection and into hope. My prayer for all of us today is that even in these anxious and difficult times, you will feel that upward gravity of Christ's love. You will feel the upward gravity of your friend's love for you. You will feel the upward gravity of a love for the creative world, which is all around us, if only we have eyes to see and ears to hear. And you will know the upward gravity of friendships. God bless you all, and thank you for joining me here in Kensington Park and at the Royal Albert Hall. And I hope that today you will get the chance to rejoice in the wonder of the world and all that is so creative all around us. God bless, and see you next week.